Hello, and welcome to this month's episode of our Diversity and Inclusion vodcast or podcast, depending on how you're listening to it, called Addressing the Elephant in the Room. I'm Lindsay Bridges, and during this series, I'll be exploring DHL Supply Chain UK and Ireland's journey on our D&I agenda, addressing a range of diversity topics through discussions with colleagues from around our DHL Supply Chain UK and Ireland business. In this episode, I'm thrilled to be talking to Luke Pound. Luke works in our trade team drinks distribution business, and he's a load planner. So, Luke, why don't you start by just telling us your story?
Basically it's happened I had a motorbike accident 10 years ago now. Just riding home from work, and coming up to some traffic lights that they were green, just going through them, and a kid walked out in front of me with his push bike. So I had to swerve to, obviously not hit him. And unfortunately, it was a slight bend as well, and I just couldn't get the bike back over. So ended up hitting into the metal railings, which was a bit of a mess. So yeah, basically I've the result of the injuries were I broke three of the nerves into my left arm and pulled two of them out of my spinal cord, as well as multiple fractures. I broke my nose, cheek and jaw, broke my left forearm, and then also 4 to 5 metatarsals on my left foot. So so I've done a reasonably good job on that, but it could have been a lot worse.
Mm. And how long were you off work for with those injuries?
So when I had the accident, I was working for a removals company, and then like the day actually after my accident, I was starting to do my Class 2 lorry license. So that put an end to all of that. So I was in hospital for 3 weeks, and then didn't get back to work for about was probably off for about 18 months to 2 years. It was mainly one of the reasons was the fact it took me about 8-9 months to actually find a job because I've always, as soon as I left school, I was always doing manual labour work. So having to try and find somewhere that to get into an office, and I've never worked into an office or got any certificates for anything or whatever. So it's that was quite difficult trying to get back into work.
And just tell us a little bit more for the people who are listening. Your injuries, you took a long time to recover, but you've lost the use of your left arm. Is that right?
Yeah. So basically, all I've got left at the moment is my bicep works. So that basically works. I've got no movement in my left hand. I've had, I don't know how many operations, about 8 operations in the last 10 years, with doing muscle grafts and moving tendons around and moving nerves around and things like that. So everything, well, right from day one, it was always 50-50 of what sort of progress I would get back in my arm and that. So it's always been just good having if the surgeons have been amazing. So it's things they can do now compared to 20 years ago is quite amazing. So I'm grateful for the use I have out of it. It's more beneficial it being there with the limited use I have got. So I can still use it in certain aspects. So so it's got to look at the positives from it.
Got to look at the positive. You certainly seem to be very positive about it. So tell me, so you came back to work after about 18 months, 2 years, you find an office job, but what sort of things did you have to think about from a work perspective?
Ended up just working in a taxi company for a little bit. Well, actually, I say a little bit. It was for about 4 years in the end. So once I was in there, then it was just happy that I got a job and then it was thinking about what I wanted to do for the future, and like with the removals and sort of logistics side of that, I was then started looking at doing. Thought right, I sort of know the ins and outs, well, not the ins and outs of transport, but I've got a decent knowledge of it, so I think that was something to start looking into of moving over to.
So you joined our trade team business as a load planner. Tell us, because people won't know what that is, why don't you tell us a little bit of what your job involves day to day, and what maybe adjustments you've had to make to be able to manage that?
Yeah, so it's on the adjustment side, there's not much really. It is there's certain things obviously with doing the little shortcuts on the keyboard of holding control down and trying to press things. So like on working on Excel was pretty a bit annoying. So I got a little sort of paperweight thing that I can just leave on a key, like on the control button or the shift button, and then I can do whatever. So yeah, on the adjustment side, there's not much is changed on that, but with the load planning is it's mainly day to day. So what we call is we plan day one for day three. So like on a Monday, we'll be planning for deliveries on a Wednesday. So it's all the orders obviously coming in, and then we're just planning them to routes. Obviously being as efficient as possible with. That's the thing with my disability is it's not noticeable so much. So, and again, I don't. There's for me personally, I don't feel like there's much to adjust for what I need. So
Well, you are you right-handed by
yeah,
no?
luckily,
Yeah.
yeah, that would have been a bit more difficult, but yeah. So yeah, I was fortunate that yeah, I was right-handed to start with, so that was made things a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can imagine, absolutely. So I know, Luke, outside of work, I know you're involved with motorsports and with Team Brit Racing. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so basically the team is originally set up by our founder Dave Player. Come up with a crazy idea of an all disabled race team. So we've got people with different disabilities that we all race together. So at the moment we've got Bobby and Matty who are autistic, so obviously they haven't got any physical disabilities. And then we've got Aaron who's in a wheelchair, so he's paraplegic, so he's got no feeling obviously from his waist down. And then so he drives. Like myself, I can only drive with my right arm. And then we got Andy as well, who's got multiple different injuries that sort of affect him walking around. And again, he's got injuries with his shoulder and everything, so he's got limitations as well. So yeah, so it's basically the team created their own hand control system. So basically, we got steering. We all the cars still got the pedals, and then on the steering wheel we got a hand control system, which is what you would have on sort of the sports cars. You would have the paddle gear levers for changing up and down. There, actually, for you got on the right hand side is your throttle paddle. So with Aaron, where he obviously can't use the pedals, so on the right hand side he's got a throttle paddle, and then on the left hand side is the brake paddle, and then all we got on the front of the steering wheel on both sides is like a rocker switch, and then we can just change up and down gear with our thumb. So that's the thing, like we, no matter our disability, whoever it is getting in the car can go off and drive it and race it. So um, yeah, it's been a pretty it's an amazing experience joining them, and what they already started and where it's going. It's quite.
And for you, I mean, I guess you've already said just after your accident, you should have done your HGV license and actually, progress on a different sort of career path. So and clearly you haven't been able to do that, and you've had to find a different way. But does that mean, is that what the motorsport has done for you? Is it really sort of compensated for that? Is that kind of why you took it up?
It's no, well, it was a sort of luck, sort of chance, timing of it all sort of fell in perfectly, really. So it was um so after the accident, I always, well, even when I was still in hospital, I was adamant I would get back on a bike just to see if I can do it, ride a bike. So about 5, 6 years ago, about 5 years ago, I managed to get back on a motorbike with a charity called the Bike Experience, which is set up for people that have had accidents and they want to just be able to get on a bike and well, see if they can do it. So yeah, I've done that with them, and then so it was like, yeah, I can do that. And then I was just starting to look at doing sort of track days and things like that, where they would be able to finding someone that can accommodate my disability, um, which that was reasonably difficult trying to find that, but it was, yeah, the luck of it was the fact of the team started up their race academy in 2019, and that sort of year was the time I was starting to look at doing track days. So found them, and then ended up doing um, track day in November 2019, and then one more in January 2020, and then had a 2 minute chat with our boss Dave, and he was saying that sort of good enough if you wanted to do your race license, we think you're good enough to be a racing driver, and it was just a yes straight away. So in February 2020, I gained my race license, and last year was the first year I raced with a team, and it was quite poignant today that we're doing this podcast because it's just come up on my phone this morning with a memory of that. It was my first race weekend was a year ago today, so it was so that's it. And
That's incredible in terms of, as you say, you've managed to find a group that can accommodate your disability, that allow you to do something that it sounds like you really love doing.
yeah, that's it. I've always grown up with watching motorsport. Sort of never thought I would end up actually becoming a racing driver, but the fact of it's a weird one that I wouldn't be a racing driver if I hadn't had the accident. I always thought it would be too difficult to actually get into it, which it's not. It's quite easy to actually get into it, but it's the whole staying in it. It's the more difficult side of it with obviously trying to gain sponsors and things like that to sort of to fund what you want to do in that.
It's amazing, isn't it, that that the car can be adapted to be suitable for anyone to be able to drive it. That's pretty incredible and pretty inspiring as well for anyone listening to this who might think, well, what can I do? How can I possibly carry on with things? Just goes to show, doesn't it? It's quite incredible what can be done these days.
Yeah, that's it. It's another thing. It's not on the electronic side. It's quite technical, but it's quite a simple solution because it's just an air compressor that we have in the car that can then, so like with Aaron using hand controls, can modulate the accelerator and brake in that, and um so on that side of it, it's quite a simple thing that's been created to get us racing, and that's again as well. It's all the cars have got the same setup, so when you come along to the academy polo that the team have got is jump in that, and you start learning everything with that with the same setup. We want to be competing at Le Mans in about 2 3 years, and being the first British disabled race team to compete there. So it's yeah, big plans, and everything is getting there. The way it's gone from last year to this year, and then again the plans for next year, and that is every year is a big step up. So hopefully we get there.
That's amazing. I mean, incredible aspirations in terms of what you want to get to, and it's really important, I think, to have that vision and that goal. Tell me, there was something that you said earlier, that you worked with a charity to get back on your motorbike again a number of years after your accident. Um, Tell me a little bit more about that, because that sounds like a really, really courageous thing to do.
It was just the fact of wanting to see if I can just do it, and it's always, I think it's always best to just quickly if something bad has happened like this. I think it was always best to just get back out, do it, and see if you can do it rather than wait further down the line and keep deciding whether you do or don't want to do it. It's just you can always overthink things, and you might as well. I think a lot of things in life is either a yes or a no, and a lot of people overthink things, and I would rather just go and do it, try it, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Simple as that.
What a great message, though, around overthinking things. I think you're right. Luke, there are times when we ponder and we overthink them, and actually, you're right. It's yes or no. Shall I do it or shall I not? But I think what I hear from you is kind of that positivity coming through that probably drives and encourages and inspires you to do things.
Yeah, I've always been sort of happy-go-lucky guy, so it's always have tried to take the positive out of things. There's again, if again the whole thing of overthinking things is then starts you can start putting yourself off doing something. So um, if you go with your gut feeling, I think that's the main thing with that. And then yeah, like I said, if it don't work out, at least you tried, and you know it's that's about it really. You know you've tried, it hasn't worked. Same with everything, not whether you got a disability or not, you can't do everything. Um, you know, people are going to be better than you at certain things, and it's whether you want to actually just to see whether you can do it or not, and just go for it.
Yeah, it's giving it a go and finding your thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's yeah, you're never really going to know until you actually try it. So it's yeah.
Yeah. Let me bring us back to work for a moment, if you don't mind. I mean, you know, there'll be managers, HR folks, recruiters maybe listening in to our interview today. What advice would you have for them in terms of approaching people with disabilities when it comes to getting into the workplace?
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's a difficult, like from my point of view, I've never really thought about having a disability, so I've always been quite blasé with. I know when I was looking at trying to find work, I don't think it was the fact of my disability was having the effect of not being able to get up, get back to work. It was more the fact of coming from doing manual labour all the time and then coming into an office which is completely different, where people were sort of more put off. But that's the thing of it's more the fact of whether you got a disability or not. Everyone's different, and everyone's got their certain needs that they would prefer or not, and it's um, just at least giving them a chance with an interview of seeing what they're like.
So I think what you're saying there is, and we do some of this in our unconscious bias training and work, actually, it's looking beyond what you necessarily see and actually trying to figure out the type of person that you're recruiting into the business, so bringing in rather than just focusing on their skills or their sort of abilities, because we can train many things as well, can't we?
Yeah, that's it. That's what I said. Like I was never good at school. I found it extremely boring. I always found it difficult learning of being told or shown things, whereas it's so much easier for me to learn and understand it while I'm actually doing it. So that's it again. It's just people have got different ways that they learn things they need. So yeah, whether they got a disability or not is everyone's different, and it's just giving that a chance.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, it's been really inspiring, I think, from my point of view, to hear your journey, your story, how actually you know, what happened to you has really changed the course of what you thought your life might be, both from a job and career perspective, but also from from a hobby or from the motorsport perspective, in terms of almost fulfilling some dreams that you had. Really incredible to hear that. Maybe you can give us one sort of short closing message for everyone.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, like I said before, is just go for it. I mean, again, that the whole overthinking thing. There's a lot of things in life where everything's sort of it's 50-50. Majority of things is either a yes or a no. And at the end of the day, if you're say no to it, you could potentially just regret that later down in life and that. So whether it's a job or trying a different hobby out, or going out and getting your racing license, is that's the thing with us, with the racing side of things, is you're not going to become a racing driver unless you got that racing license. So you can just go for it, and then you've got it, and then you can start looking further down the line of where you want to go. So that's it, is just go out there and end life with no regrets, I think, is the best way to look at it.
Look, you're an amazing example of somebody who's picked themselves up, who's got such a positive attitude in terms of go for it, don't let things get in your way of trying it out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But actually, just taking those chances, and you've shown an incredible amount of resilience and passion in terms of just living life and living in the moment. I'm really in awe of that.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure doing this. So but it's been good having a chat, and hopefully that some people watch this and they sort of do change their mind on certain things that they've been putting off for a while. So
I think that's a great way to end it. Hopefully you can inspire some people to take that chance, or say yes to that thing that was in their mind that they were maybe overthinking, as you've just said. Yeah. So thank you, Luke. Thank you for your time today. And thank you to everybody listening. That's it for today. Watch out for our next episode. And in the next episode, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the subjects of race and ethnicity. And as ever, you can watch us on YouTube. You can listen to us on Spotify or iTunes. Thank you very much.